This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Okay, Russ. Today I'm going to tell you a story that's probably going to make you pretty angry. In this story, there's a girl who goes missing, and her family literally does everything in their power, everything they can possibly do to find her. But unfortunately, the people in charge and powers that be, they just won't let it happen. This is the case of the abduction of Tara Calico.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Wife of Crime. I'm Russ, aka The Profiler. I'm here with Jess, my bourbon, and my glass of water, and I'm ready for another story.
Yes. So, before I start the story, I have a lot of stuff to talk about really quick. I'll try to keep it short.
All right.
First of all, let's go through our shout outs. We have a few people to shout out. We have some people that bought merch and posted it up. So a girl named Nikki bought some merch and posted it on Instagram. And then Kelly bought merch for a Christmas gift. So thank you so much.
The funny thing about our merch is it makes you look so much more attractive than you already are. So, like, you know, if you're trying to look good, throw the merch on and rock out.
They both bought the Stay Fit, Stay Alive t-shirts. So
yeah, so what happens is the killers know that you're ready and they don't want that smoke, so they're going to go to the easier victim, wear that shirt.
And then I want to shout out some people for sharing on social media. So Christine, thank you. Stacy, Baby Blue Sticks on Instagram shared us. And Will Whiting. And
Will did it on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Yeah, because he's kind of like old head. He didn't get Instagram yet. Shout out to you, though. If you don't have Instagram yet, don't be old. Just get Instagram.
It's true. My dad just got Instagram recently.
Yo, and if Chuck got Instagram.
I told him he would like it because it's not as much politics. And he gets angry when he reads all the politics.
I don't like anyone's politics.
Yay, my dad got Instagram. So he's a follower on our Instagram. And then
Chuck's a yuppie. His house costs more than mine.
If people hear this episode, they're not going to understand the reference. That's from.
Well, if they've been here a while.
That's true. That's from a few episodes
ago. Shout out to the loyal listeners.
And then JBug31, him and his wife listen to us. So shout out to you guys. Husband and wife duo listening to us. So that's all of our shout outs. Another thing I want to talk about is We're going to Crime Con. We're going to be in Orlando, May 1st through the 3rd at Crime Con. If you're going to be at Crime Con, hit us up on Instagram and we can meet for a drink at one of the bars. And you guys, we can talk about true crime and all that jazz.
Maybe.
And another thing.
Oh, we're definitely going.
Yeah, we're definitely
Jess is social.
Yeah, you're social too.
If I have drinks, I'm social. Before that, I might just like wave and nod my head. So don't take it personal.
And then another thing I want to talk about is, this is kind of crazy, but I just thought it was really interesting. So we did an episode a while back called Satanic Panic, and it's about the West Memphis 3. And a lot of people who know that case know that there's a lot of controversy.
Wow. All right.
Surrounding that case. And, there's a lot of people who believe that the kids that got exonerated were actually guilty. There was a few other persons of interest in that case, and one of the persons of interest was one of the children's stepfather. And he commented on our Facebook on the episode post that I put up of that episode. He commented on it. So that was pretty crazy. It just proves that social media makes the world very small.
Yeah, that's very interesting because he's one of the suspects in the case because his hair was found on the rope of one of the kids. If you didn't listen to the episode, go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. And so, but my take is, but the kid lived with that guy. So anyone you live with, there's a chance of there being hair. But some people think the dude did it. Some people, I'm like, if you find me dead, there's 100% chance Jess's hair is on me. Whether I'm dead or alive, there's one of Jess's hairs are somewhere.
That's true.
So, especially if you had long hair, then...
Yeah. So anyway, it was pretty interesting that he commented.
But he hit us up. That's crazy.
Yeah, he did.
And if you're still listening, what up?
I don't think he's still listening. I think he just commented on it.
All right.
So, okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I have to do a Just Messed Up section real quick. So last episode, we talked about the Toolbox Killers, and it's a really good episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my
those guys.
It's one of my favorite episodes that we've done for many reasons. But at the end, I talked about a private investigator that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Laura, and after the episode, she listened to it, and we ended up becoming true crime friends. And she's going to be at CrimeCon as well because she's writing a book about the Toolbox Killers, and she'll be there at CrimeCon probably promoting her book or whatever. But she listened to the episode and she really liked it, and she had one of the survivors listen to the episode.
That's crazy.
Which is so crazy to me. And the survivor that listens, well, it was the only survivor in the case, and she listened to the episode.
Anyone who survives is so dope. Always fight back. Don't just, lay down.
So the issue is, though, where I messed up, is I get all of my information online, and we know that that can cause a little bit of mistakes because not everything online is accurate. So when I spoke to her about the case, she told me that the name that I mentioned of the girl, her name was Sandy. That's the one I mentioned because that's the one I saw online. That's not her real name. Her real name is Robin Robeck. And Robin listened to that episode and liked our podcast. And it just was really exciting for me because she's such a badass. If you get away from a serial killer and then you positively identify them and get them put in prison, you're a badass. So cheers to you, Robin. Thank you so much for listening.
Cheers. I'll have a sip for you right now.
So, okay, that was all of our stuff. Now we can get into the story. That's crazy
because when you don't realize how small the world is through the internet and stuff like this. You think these people are never going to hear it. Sometimes I'm disconnected. These are just stories.
Mm-hmm. But they're not. They're real stories. Real live people went through this crazy shit.
Yeah.
I know. It's amazing. And
so that means the serial killer might listen if they're still alive.
Well, he's not. He died on Friday the 13th.
Serial killers, in plural because we've done multiple killers, multiple
that's true,
episodes.
Yeah. I don't know if they're in prison, if they have access to podcasts, but...
Well, sometimes I know prisoners sneak stuff in their butt. They might have a phone.
True. Okay, and then one more thing I need to say is there is a really cool podcast. It's called Military Murder, and it's a podcast about military, like service members who commit murder. And the girl that hosts it, she's really good. She's like a one-woman show. So later on in the show, you're going to hear a preview for that podcast. I listen to it every week, and I won some of her one of her giveaways that she did. So that was exciting. So later on, check out that preview and listen to her podcast for sure.
Well, for the record, the podcast is good. Her podcast is good because I discussed with Jess that we will never advertise anything on here that we don't like.
That's true.
So if anyone reaches out, if there's a product or something, and I think it's shit, or I think their podcast is shit, I will never advertise it. So it has to be Russ the Profiler approved.
And Military Murder is Russ the Profiler approved.
That's the first approval. That's big.
All right, so let's get into the story finally. Okay. So this story is a missing persons case. I really find missing persons cases like pretty fascinating. We did the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley, which is a huge, fascinating case to me. This one is really fascinating.
Was that the one on the boat?
Yeah, that was the cruise ship.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm never going on a cruise.
So this story, it was really big back in the late 80s, early 90s because it was all over. It ended up getting all over the national news, and Unsolved Mysteries even had it on. Remember Unsolved Mysteries?
Yeah.
Even had it on one of their episodes. So this is the disappearance of Tara Calico. So Tara Calico was born February 28th, 1969, and she lived with her mom and her stepdad and her 3 siblings. She was 19 years old when she mysteriously went missing on September 20th, 1988. She lived in a town called Belen, New Mexico, and it was like a small suburban community, but very safe, like a very, regular middle-class suburb, safe place to grow up. She was a sophomore at the University of New Mexico in Valencia, and she worked part-time. She had a boyfriend. It was her high school sweetheart, and Tara was just like an all-around great girl. She was very responsible. She never got into trouble. She had really good grades, and she was very active for us. She was a runner and a bike rider every single morning. This is how crazy this is. She would wake up and take a 38-mile bike ride every morning.
So she was fit.
Fit. Every morning, 38-mile bike ride. This would take her between 4 and 5 hours.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. She did it every day.
Because one time I did a 25-mile bike tour, and my butt was killing me.
Yeah, she did this every day.
Not my legs. My legs were fine.
Wow.
Lou was there with me. Everybody knows Lou. Chicken Palm King.
On the morning of the 20th, she woke up and planned her day out. She was like one of those girls who uses a planner. She likes to plan out her day. So every morning she would wake up and plan her day, and it always included her long bike ride. So she decided that she would go on this bike ride, and then she would meet her boyfriend for tennis. That's how active she was. And
wow.
After a 38-mile bike ride, she was meeting her boyfriend to play tennis at 12 o'clock. And then she had classes in college. Her college classes started at 4 p.m. So she ended up waking up a little bit late today. Normally she leaves the house between 7 and 8 a.m., but she woke up a little late and ended up leaving at 9 a.m. She told her mom, listen, if I'm running late, because I don't want to be late for my tennis with my boyfriend, if I'm running late, just come and pick me up wherever I am on my route. So her mom used to take this bike ride with her. So her mom knew the route.
30-something miles?
Yeah. Her mom, it was the same route every day.
Well, that goes to show you, as a parent, you need to encourage that behavior. Like, if you're a parent that works out, your kids are going to work out too.
So they would do it together all the time. But recently, her mom's name is Patty. I'm going to refer to her throughout the whole story. Okay. But recently, Patty had a situation where a car almost hit her, and she got scared. So she hadn't been riding with Tara over the last few weeks.
It's a big deal to bikers. Like in New York, nervous. People get hit by bikes all the time.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that made her too scared to ride this day. But since she knew...
I mean, bikes get hit by cars. Why did I say it that way?
I don't even know what you said. Wrong. What did you say wrong?
I said bikes...
Never mind. Don't worry about it.
You're confusing me.
Okay. So she was too scared. So she said, okay, cool. If I don't see you at 12, I'll ride down and come grab you and, bring you back to the house. So, Tara grabbed her Walkman like she always did. She threw a cassette tape in, because this is back when they listened to cassette tapes and Walkmans. Threw a cassette tape in, and she was off on her pink Huffy. That's what she was driving. My first cassette
tape was New Kids on the Block. Aunt Jonna bought it for me.
Yeah, we talked about that before. So many eyewitnesses confirmed seeing Tara on her bike. She was riding a pink Huffy. A lot of people confirmed seeing her in the neighborhood and then on her typical route, because she would ride her bike down Highway 47. So Highway 47, it was a highway, but it was like, 2-lane highway, one going northbound, one going southbound. And it was a really long highway. That
like 2 lanes on each side, so it's 4 total?
No, 2 total. 2-lane highway.
Okay.
So one going northbound, one going southbound, and it spanned 3 counties. So some parts of the highway were really busy. There was a lot of stuff on the sides, and then some parts went through like a more rural or desolate area. So many people in her neighborhood confirmed seeing her on the bike.
They probably saw her all the time.
They did.
Like, there she goes again.
But they confirmed seeing her that day. And then there were a few people that said they saw her being followed by a 1954 pickup truck with a camper attached. So the camper, it made it stick out in people's minds, because you don't often see a pickup truck with one of those square campers on the back. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it made people remember. That's how they knew they saw her, because they remembered there was also this truck that was riding behind her.
It's going slow.
Yeah. So Patty noticed that it was 12 p.m. and she wasn't back. And she was like, okay, let's go pick her up. So around 12:15, she went to get her. She drove up and down Highway 47, but Tara was nowhere to be seen. So then she thought, okay, maybe I missed her. So she came back to the house. When she got back to the house, her boyfriend had called the house, because now it's like 12:30, 12:45, and she never showed up for tennis. So her boyfriend calls the house, and her mom and dad tell him, we actually don't know where she is. So he drives over, and the 3 of them go looking for her. At first, they're all together. They retrace her entire bike route, and then came back to the house.
He might be injured.
Yeah, and they're all together. But then they decide after about an hour or so, let's split up and start questioning people and see what we can find.
I'm surprised he wasn't a suspect off the bat, the boyfriend. Because the boyfriend or the girlfriend is always number one.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was really concerned, and he was very much in the search efforts and really trying to find her. He was super worried about her.
I wonder why he was ruled out so fast.
I'm not sure, but he wasn't even, in all the research I did, he wasn't even an issue at all.
All right.
So they decided to split up, and so they could cover more ground and talk to more people. So her mom came up on a group of construction workers on the path that she was on and asked them if they had seen a girl on a pink Huffy bike. And they said no, but they had just went on a lunch break, and they were gone for about an hour, so they might have missed her.
That's a long break. I wish I had a good long lunch break.
So then Patty, her husband, and Tara's boyfriend, like I said, they split up, and Patty came across a group of guys. There were 3 men. They were standing in a campground parking lot in front of a Ford pickup with a camper on the back. She walks up to these 3 guys, and she asks if they had seen her daughter. The men said no, but they seemed to be a little defensive, and Patty kind of got a weird feeling about it.
Yo, that's crazy, because she could have been in the thing, the RV
camper.
Or whatever. Yeah. Oh, that's why. If your family member goes missing, be bold, be weird, bust doors open, because that person that's playing oh, I don't know. Well, it's all good. You don't know, but I'm going to check.
Yeah. So Patty got this weird feeling, and she went back to the husband and the boyfriend. They met back up after, splitting up for a while. And she told them, she said, I have this really weird feeling. I talked to these guys. I just got a vibe. Do you guys mind going back to talk to them? So the guys, the boyfriend and the stepdad, went back and they talked to these guys, but the guys were even more defensive this time, probably because
we're all fighting.
It was men asking them about it. So they got even more, puffy chested about it. And the stepdad said, well, can we just look in your camper? Can you just open it up and let us see what's inside? And the guy was adamant. He was like, no, you're not looking inside. You need to go. And to avoid a fight or, because they were worried. Fight. Well, they didn't. They left. So by around 4:30 p.m., the police finally came to the house. So Patty had called the police way earlier, but since she's an adult, they kind of blew her off. They didn't think it was a big deal. But we need to remember, everybody listening, that when someone goes missing, there is no age limit or time limit. It is not a law. You do not have to wait 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, not like TV.
This is all false. Maybe it was a law back in the day, but it's not anymore. So if someone you love goes missing and a precinct tries to tell you that they're not going to look for them for 48 hours, then you need to call someone else. Call another precinct.
Yeah, so if the deputy Dewey says, I ain't looking for them, you say, no, I'm getting the boss.
Well, so they finally came out at around 4:30 p.m. And
who made up that stupid thing on TV? Oh, it has to be 24 or 48 hours. Because by then, you could have woke up dead.
No, but I think a lot... You're so weird. Woke up dead.
Yeah.
It's not even a thing. What does that even mean?
Woke up dead is it's kind of like you got killed in your sleep.
Doesn't even make sense.
Everyone knows what I mean. Woke up dead is a thing.
Okay.
# woke up dead.
So, yeah, it's not a law. It's not real. So an entire day, the rest of the day went by, and the next morning, Tara's mom went back to Highway 47 and drove really slow this time, all the way down the highway. And this was a 38-mile stretch, but she drove really slow because she wanted to see if there was anything weird, anything at all that she could spot.
Maybe catch a handlebar or something, like if her bike got hit, you could catch some clues.
Something, yeah. So as she's driving, she sees something shiny on the ground. So she pulls over, and it's a Boston cassette tape, which is the cassette tape that Tara was listening to when she went on her bike ride. And, Tara's mom obviously was like, this is hers. Police also...
Which means there was probably some type of struggle. Because if there was no struggle, there would be nothing left behind.
Yeah, so later, farther down the road, and then there's a turnoff point. And off of the turnoff point, police also found a broken Walkman, headphones, and a bike reflector. So her mom thinks that Tara was trying to leave clues because this isn't on her normal path. So her mom thinks Tara was dropping these things on the ground, possibly.
You can't drop a broken bike reflector. That's a tongue twister. You can't just drop that. Something had to have happened where the bike was hit or smashed.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that her mom thinks that she was leaving clues. I mean, it might just be in her mom's head, but that's just what her mom thinks.
Or I was thinking the bike, so this is the second time in the past few weeks that we did someone was on a bike. So what it always seems to me is that a car probably bumps you and you fall. Because then you're done.
Yeah.
And now there's broken pieces like that.
That's true. Yeah. But it was weird that it was on this turnoff.
Maybe they took the bike. They wanted to hide the evidence.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, probably.
I'm a professional profiler.
So, all right, listen to the rest of the story. We have a long way to go. This story gets very complicated and twisted, so we have a long way to go. There's a lot of surprises coming, okay?
Really? I feel like we were halfway done.
No, we're not halfway done. Okay, so police finally started to believe, okay, this is an abduction. We're finding all of these things. This looks like a struggle occurred, like you said. So they started putting pictures out in the media and talking about this girl's missing, putting her photos out there because she just simply vanished and there was literally no other evidence besides those things. There were about 200 to 300 people that came out, volunteers and police and stuff, and began searching for her. They scoured both sides of the highway. They went out shoulder to shoulder, walking like a sheet all the way across. They would go for 10 miles out and then come back the other way. And they did this all the way down this highway, trying to find any clues.
That's good when the community comes together.
Yeah. So unfortunately, though, days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. And Tara's mom, she made every effort she could to keep her daughter's story out in the media. I mean, she was calling newspapers all the time. She was doing news reports, interviews on TV all the time. She just wanted her daughter's name out there. And
as she should.
Nothing came of it. And people started to forget. And then in June of 1989, 9 months after her disappearance, there would be a discovery that would blow this case out of the water.
The body.
And bring this story to a national audience.
Hello, true crime recruits. I am Margot, the host of Military Murder, a podcast that focuses on the things I love the most: true crime and the military. Because yes, people in the military commit murder too. But don't worry, no military knowledge required. This is a straight true crime podcast. I have already covered a soldier-on-soldier decapitation, a catfish murder that led to the death of an innocent Marine, the case of the newlywed murders in my Marines Killing Marines episode, and there are so many more to come. Join me each Monday as I tell these tales, ask provoking questions along the way, and keep you true crime lovers entertained while you do your routine things, like commuting, working out, or even food shopping. So, if you cannot get enough of Investigation Discovery, the Oxygen Network, or your favorite true crime podcast, head on over to any podcast app and search Military Murder for your next true crime binge. I can't wait for you to join my true crime army. Happy binging!
1,500 miles away in a place called Port St. Joe, Florida. Okay, so we're now going to Florida from New Mexico.
Do you know where all the crazy people live?
Florida.
There's two places.
Where?
Florida and the Bronx.
The Bronx, it's true. The Bronx has some crazy.
Has been bugging out lately.
It has. So 1,500 miles away in a place called Port, oh my gosh, why can't I say this? Port St. Joe, Florida. A woman pulled into the parking lot of her local convenience store. She parked next to a white work van. And
work vans are the worst.
There was a man with a mustache who looked to be in his mid-30s in the driver's seat. The woman went into the store thinking nothing of it. She shopped for about 15 minutes and then came back to her car to leave. The van was no longer there when she came back, but what was there was an upside-down Polaroid on the ground in the place where the van was. She grabbed the Polaroid just out of curiosity and flipped it over, and when she did, she saw an incredibly disturbing photo. There was a picture of a girl and a young boy tied up, hands and feet bound with duct tape over their mouths. The girl in the picture has a book laying next to her. They're both laying on these sheets and pillows. The girl's wearing a gray t-shirt and shorts, and both of them look very scared. So I'm going to show you the picture so you can react to it.
Okay.
Everybody else can look at the picture either on wifeofcrime.com or on Instagram. I'll put it on Instagram.
Actually,
this picture is actually, and Facebook. It's pretty disturbing.
Let me see.
It's scary.
Is that her?
Well, what do you think?
I don't know what she looks like.
Yeah,
what do you mean,
right.
What do you think?
I forgot you did.
I've never seen her.
So, but It is a scary picture. Look how scared they look.
And the little boy is like a little boy. She's kind of like an adult, but a young adult, and he's like a little boy.
So this is Tara Calico next to the picture. And I'll put this picture up online too so you guys can all look at it.
All right, who cares?
You can decide if you think this girl looks like her or not.
It could be her, but who cares what I think? Did the mom say that's her? If the mom says that's her, that's her.
So the woman obviously went immediately to a nearby precinct, and the picture was released to the media right away because they're like, who are these kids and who has these kids locked up in a van? Because they're clearly in a van.
Who's missing these kids? So you could find out the names,
exactly
where they were abducted from, try to get some clues.
So they put it on TV right away. And do you remember the show A Current Affair?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was aired on A Current Affair. And Tara's mom, Patty, got a phone call from a friend who saw it on A Current Affair and said, oh my gosh, that looks just like Tara. When Patty saw the picture, she immediately burst into tears. And she said, this is my daughter, 100%.
Yeah, if the mom says it's the kid, it's the kid. Who cares what anyone else says?
So the girl in the picture has same hair color, similar eyebrows. She also has a scar on her leg that her mom confirmed Tara has a scar on her leg. The book that's in the picture is a V.C. Andrews book named My Sweet Audrina, which is actually Tara's favorite book. But you have to keep in mind, okay, I want you to keep these things in mind because I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Number one, when someone is grieving and they have so much hope that their child isn't dead because their child's just missing, sometimes it can cause you to think certain things are one way when they're not. And another thing to remember is V.C. Andrews was like one of the most popular young adult writers at the time, and like pretty much every girl in her age group, even myself, I read it as, later on because I was a little
late
kid.
bloomer.
No, I was just a little kid in 1988. I was only 3. But in the 90s, I read V.C. Andrews' books, and it's like really popular young adult books.
The book has nothing to do with it to
No,
me.
but her
if
mom...
the mom says it's you, but my mom knows what I look like.
But my mom... What I'm saying is her mom said that that's her favorite book, and that was like one of her proving points that this is my daughter. But like a lot of teenage girls back then
It's a New York Times bestseller. I don't care about the book. Is that your daughter?
Okay. Well, she believed it was, and she believed it was her daughter until the day she died.
There's a shot that it's her. I'm looking at the picture. There's a shot that it's her. But to me, a lot of people look the same.
Yeah. You're not really good at distinguishing people.
Yeah, but I could profile you and tell you what type of person did it and stuff like that.
So after the picture got national attention, it was all over TV, another family came forward, another New Mexico family, okay, this is key, came forward and said the little boy in the picture was their son.
That's crazy.
So a few months before Tara went missing, a young 9-year-old boy named Michael Henley, he was on a camping trip with his family. And after they arrived, his uncle and his dad were putting the tent up and, getting everything set up. And Michael wandered off. They turned around and he was gone. This was in the Zuni Mountains in New Mexico, which this isn't like a campground. They're literally in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of the woods. And this kid went missing in the middle of the woods. They immediately started searching for him. They scoured the area. They called police. They, for 2 days straight, they covered a 10-mile radius in every direction from where their campsite was, and he was never seen again. So this family comes forward because it does honestly look a lot like Michael Henley when you look at the kid in the picture and then you look at Michael's picture.
I know if I have a kid, I could tell you what they look like. Same way, if you went missing, I know what you look like, and I'd be like, no, that's Jess.
Well, both families were totally convinced that these were their kids. And
now someone else is going to come forward and say, no, that's my kid, that's my daughter. This whole story is going to be turned upside down.
No one else came forward about those kids. Those were the only family that came forward claiming it was their kids. But unfortunately, in 1990... like a year later, Michael Henley's remains were found a few miles away from the campsite. Authorities believe that the young boy must have wandered like a little too far into the woods. Well, they think he wandered too far into the woods and died from exposure because 2 days after their search efforts started, there was a huge snowstorm that came in. And so people believe that he froze to death. So like me personally, I find this a little hard to believe because they scoured a 10-mile radius in all directions. But no one's ever looked further into it. I think the family just accepted that their son wandered off and died in the woods, but I don't know. I find it a little hard to believe, but whatever.
Now, are they saying that the kid isn't him tied up in the picture now?
Yeah, they're saying that that's not him.
Then why'd they say it was him in the first place?
Because the family didn't have their son at the time.
Yeah, but you're looking at a picture. You don't know what your son looks like?
No, they believed it was him until his remains were found a couple miles from the campsite.
This is going to sound really stupid, but I know what everyone looks like. I know what they look like.
Why are you not getting this? Their family believed it was him because he was missing. And then his remains were found in New Mexico, only a few miles from where he went missing from.
So it's probably not him in the picture.
So it's not him in the picture.
Yeah, but they're stupid for thinking it was him because I know what everyone looks like. I know what they look like. No, they're not stupid
when you're grieving and you're hoping that that's your child. And when you look at the two back side by side, the picture of the boy.
No, you could distinguish people that you really, really know. You know what they look like.
Okay. All right. Well,
if anyone regardless goes missing. I know what you look like. Well, some people that are close to you, you know what they look like.
It's true, but regardless, the little boy...
Everyone, you know what? I have a good idea now. Everyone go get a tattoo. So this way, if you go missing, they're like, oh, no, that's the tattoo.
That's
so
true.
Now you could be, you could get a Wife of Crime tattoo or a hashtag Vote for Russ tattoo. If anyone wants a hashtag Vote for Russ tattoo, I'll pay for it, by the way. Just hit me up, and then we'll be able to find you.
It's true. You and I both have tattoos, so I mean, it wouldn't be hard to identify us. So anyway, okay. So there was a lot of debate now, especially after this happened and the boy's remains were found. Now there's a lot of debate about, okay, is this actually Tara then in the picture? Her family still adamantly believed it was her. And I'm not going to say that I don't believe it could be her because it does look very similar to her, but I'm pretty undecided on it.
You know what? It could or couldn't be, but if I was the parent, I'd be able to tell.
Okay. Well, the family had 3 agencies look into this and to decide, compare the pictures and compare facial structures and yada, yada, to decide if this is her. So the FBI looked at it, Scotland Yard looked at it, and the Los Alamos National Laboratory looked at it. And they all came up with different results. So Scotland Yard said, yes, it's her. The FBI came back inconclusive, and Los Alamos said no.
See, so me and the FBI are very similar because I'm like, it got a shot. It's inconclusive.
Yeah, they couldn't decide if it was her or not.
FBI, if you need a profiler, hit me up.
Shut up, Russ.
They might need a good person.
So a lot of people wanted to believe that it was her. But unfortunately, now I'm going to tell you some information that has come to light over the last 30 years that led many to believe that the picture was not, in fact, Tara. So fast forward to the early 2000s now, okay? A woman by the name of Melinda Escobel comes back home to Belen to visit her family and friends. She, moved out of town and lived her life, and she just came back to visit, and she ended up going out to dinner with a group of her friends. She went to high school with Tara, and Tara ended up coming up in conversation because it was a bunch of people who all went to high school together. And Melinda, she wasn't close friends with her in high school, but she knew her, and she always thought very highly of Tara because when Melinda was a new student and she was in the band with her, Tara was super nice to her, kind of took her under her wing, like introduced her to friends, and just was a really nice girl. And, high school girls can be mean. They can be bitches. So
I don't really know, but Tara sounds like a good person.
Yeah, she was a really good person. So Melinda always thought really highly of her. And when this happened, it was just a really sad situation. So when they're out at dinner, she says, gosh, I really wonder whatever happened to Tara Calico. Like, this is crazy that no one's ever found it out. And her friends looked at her kind of puzzled and said, oh, Melinda, we all know what happened to Tara. And so Melinda was like, what? What do you mean everybody knows what happened? And they're like, yeah, the whole town knows what happened to Tara.
What?
So based on the things her friends told her, she realized that Tara had died in Belen and was in fact involved in a police cover-up, like a pretty big police cover-up. So this realization led Melinda down this 10-year journey to solve Tara's case and bring justice for her family. She actually has a podcast now called Vanished, the Tara Calico story.
I feel like I might have listened to a podcast called Vanished.
You listened to Up and Vanished with Payne Lindsay. That's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, I listen to I'm not like a podcast addict. I'll listen to like an episode or two of a podcast and I'll jump to another one. I'm all over the place. I'm like one of those dudes where like if you watch TV with, I flip the channel too much.
Yeah, that's like how our conversations go on the podcast where Russ always injects random thoughts. That's how his mind is.
Well, hashtag we like Russ. Some people like me.
I'm just kidding.
Even if it ain't Jess.
I do like you. I'm kidding. So she has this podcast. It's called Vanish, and it's to document all of her findings. And pretty much on the show, she puts her phone number on there. She begs people to call in with tips because she wants people to get involved in this case because she wants it well known that she wants justice for Tara. So I'm going to tell you why Melinda and many others believe that this poor girl had an unfortunate murder, and then it was covered up by the police.
Yeah, what's up with the police thing? That's what I want to know.
So the men that many believed were involved in her death were connected to pretty important people in the community. And this information made Melinda super furious, and she decided to call Tara's sister. And together they became determined to not only solve the case, but bring this whole cover-up to light. And it's opened like a Pandora's box at this point of a lot of crazy information that's come out. So in the beginning of their investigation, they were given the entire case file. The police department, they completely cooperated with everything. They gave them the whole police file and all the documents that they had because this case is 30 years old. So this is from a long time ago.
So people that were involved aren't even working with that precinct anymore. So if there was a cover-up, they wouldn't be trying to cover it up.
Yeah, exactly. So they just gave them everything, and they're like, "We'll cooperate with you if you want to, figure this cold case out. We'll help you." So when they gained access, they realized that a lot of the documents and details were missing. Documents were taken out. Details were taken out. Recordings of interviews are missing. There are a lot of things that should be there. Documents that should be there that aren't there anymore. There's a bunch of file folders that have, names on them. You open it up and they're empty. So at the time of this case, a man named Lawrence Romero Sr. I want you to remember that name, Russell, because you don't remember names very well. Lawrence Romero Sr.
I don't. Say if I meet someone and they're like, I'll be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Russ." And they're like, "Hey, my name is Lawrence." And then we start talking, I instantly forget their name.
I know. So I want you to remember this guy's name. What's his name?
Lawrence? No, because I just said Lawrence, yeah. But you know what I do? So, all of a sudden, their name is dude, bro, something like that. "All right, bro, have a good day."
Well, yeah, everybody does that.
Yeah. Buddy. I don't use buddy. No, buddy's like a herb thing.
No, it's not.
Don't call someone buddy. That's whack.
It's not weird.
No, I call everyone... Bro is kind of douchey, though. I say bro.
Yeah.
Okay, go on the show. I'm just rambling.
You are rambling a lot today. So...
Today.
Lawrence Romero Sr. was the sheriff of Valencia County, and he was very respected and really well-liked in the community. He pretty much led the entire Tara Calico case, and from the outside, it looked as if he was doing everything he could to find her. Other teens had gone missing in the area, but this was one of the biggest search efforts in New Mexico history. He put a lot of effort into searching for this girl. So there were a number of witnesses that came forward after Tara went missing, and some of them had really relevant information. So I'm going to tell you a few of the witnesses and this information that they gave, and we're going to figure out why they didn't follow up with it because it makes no sense. So the first group of people I'm going to tell you about are these 4 hunters, okay? 3 men and 1 young boy. They'd been out hunting all day. And they pulled over to discharge their rifles, to get all their ammunition out of their rifles after their hunting trip. They did this pretty much at the same time that Tara was riding her bike right past them. So they got a really good look at her and her bike.
Okay.
So they knew that this was the girl that went missing.
Positive identification.
Yes.
Like 100%.
100%. They also saw a car or a truck with a camper on the back following her. And they positively identified the camper truck as well. So they assumed, though, that whoever was in the truck knew the girl because they were driving so slow behind her. And this is, 11 a.m., the middle of broad daylight on a highway. They thought, oh, maybe this is like her dad because she's on a highway. He's driving slow behind her to make sure no cars hit her. Like they didn't think too deep into it. They just assumed that whoever it was knew her.
I would never think that because I would think that's weird that camper is following her.
Yeah, well,
But then I still would I don't know if I would say anything. I probably should. I should probably be more vocal.
Probably. So the police department...
All right, from now on, guys, I have a resolution. If you're in trouble and I see it...
You're going to help?
I might say something. I don't know if I'm going to put myself in danger, though.
Okay.
Unless I know you. If I know you, I got your back.
Well, the police department took their statements, and then they ended up... I found this really weird, but they ended up having the hunters hypnotized by a hypnotist to see if more information came out once they were hypnotized. But the results of this hypnotism were never found. Like when Melinda and Tara's sister looked through the case file, there was never a document stating what the hypnotists found when these guys were hypnotized. So we don't know if there was nothing that they said or if something interesting came out and they had to cover it up.
Yeah, but hypnotized is dumb. The only hypnotized I go by is Biggie's. And if you don't know that song, look it out on Spotify. Biggie's Hypnotized.
I've never been hypnotized, but I wonder if it would work on me or not. I feel like you have to be a pretty vulnerable person to get hypnotized.
I'd like to be hypnotized. I think it'd be cool. Like if someone could actually make me quack like a duck.
Yeah.
But I ain't no quacker.
You're so dumb. Oh, God. Okay, so another witness I'm going to tell you about is actually, I would say, probably the key witness in this story. So I need you to really focus on what I'm going to tell you.
His name, I haven't been listening.
No. I just want you to really pay attention to this part because it's important. So a guy named Ishmael De La Rosa, he, like I said, was probably the key witness in this story, and he has a lot of details about today because he had an important appointment that he was heading to that day. So remember in season 1 of the podcast Serial, when Sarah Koenig talks about that remembering things is really hard. But when you have a significant event that happens on that day, you tend to remember the events around that day even better because something significant happens. So it's easier to remember the events. Do you understand?
Kinda.
Okay. So we learned that from season 1 of Serial, and the same thing happened with this situation. So Ishmael was on his way to a really important appointment this day at a cattle ranch.
Now I get it. Like if you had the biggest job interview of your life or something like that, any events that happened on the way there, you would remember.
You would remember. Yeah, exactly. You'd remember the details. So he was rushing to this appointment, and he got really annoyed because he ended up behind this pickup truck with a camper. And he was stuck behind this truck. It's a 2-lane highway, so he can't pass the truck until the other side clears up.
And he's in a rush.
So he's stuck behind here. He's like, what is going on? Why is this person driving so slow? And he's irritated. So he's starting to really pay attention to this truck a lot.
Yeah.
And he's seeing everything going on around it. So he saw on the other side of the highway, it cleared up. So he decided to pass the truck. When he did, he got a really good look at the driver because he's looking at him like, what the hell is this dude doing driving so slow?
Yeah, because, whenever we pass by someone who's going slow or doing something dumb, we always look right and be like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. So they made eye contact, which made it, easier for Ishmael to really be able to identify him and describe him because they looked at each other. But after he looked at the driver and noticed him, he also noticed that there was a girl on a pink Huffy bike right in front of the truck. So the things that he noticed about this guy was that he's a redhead.
He had like really short
bingo.
hair.
That limits you down to like 1% of the world.
But he's a redhead, exactly. He also noticed that the man had a scar over his left eye. He had like a pretty big scar. And then he noticed that the guy's eyes were a little bloodshot and he looked drunk. Like he had that like drunk look in his face.
Okay.
He did for a second also, just like the hunters, Ishmael for a second was like, oh, maybe he knows this girl. Maybe this is this girl's father.
I would never think that.
But then he looked at the guy staring at her and he realized how intently this man was staring at her. And he was like, this looks a little like something's going on here. This looks a little weird.
But now I wonder what she was thinking.
Well, she had her headphones on.
Yeah,
and she's looking straight ahead. Do you think she would know somebody's behind her
I
following
would.
her?
I always look behind
Maybe
me.
she
I look
did
behind me
it.
probably too much where I might hit something in front of me.
All I know is,
But I wonder, like, I don't know.
as a woman, Russ,
Carry pepper spray. You know what I was looking at today? I was looking at if you go running or you're exercising, things you can do to protect yourself. I actually Googled, like, running knives and stuff like that. But there's actually, like, pepper sprays you can strap to your hand.
yeah.
And all things like this. There's, like, a knife. So, say, for instance, you know how you put the, your phone on the band around your arm?
Yeah.
There's like something that a pepper spray attaches that to, or a knife.
Oh,
so there's a lot of things out there like that.
Well, as a woman, just so you
need
know,
that.
as a
You
woman,
gotta kill them motherfuckers.
we are taught to ignore everybody because from little girls, we're taught, because we're the weaker
Stranger
of the
danger.
two types of humans, that if a man approaches you, you don't, I mean, most of us, I mean, there's probably some girls that'll run their mouth, but most of the time, a lot of women just try
You're a
to.
mouth runner.
Well, I don't, to strange men, I don't run my mouth. Maybe when I was younger, I did a couple times, but we're taught to like not, to avoid confrontation with men. And if you're in a weird situation and you feel weird, you ignore that situation and you just get away. And so that possibly could be what Tara was doing. She might have realized somebody was following her, but she's in the middle of the highway on a bike. So she's just trying to ride down this highway and get to her destination.
That's crazy.
Anyway, Ishmael,
My nanny taught me different. Just if anyone's ever close to you, you punch them in the face right away because you don't know if you can get any more hits.
Except that they're in a truck and she's on a bike. So
I don't know what she could have done to live.
There's
I'm trying to
nothing
think
that
of
she
it.
could have done in this situation. That's why this is such a sad situation. There's nothing she could have done to prevent this. So anyway, so he saw the driver. He saw the girl. He realized that the drivers had this weird look in his eye and he didn't like it. But he had this appointment to get to. And so now he's contemplating, like, all right, do I try to get this girl's attention? Do I try to get this driver's attention? Do I go tell somebody about this? I'm in the middle of the highway. I have this super important appointment at this cattle ranch I have to get to. So now he's like, all right, you know, if I see people around, then I'm just going to go because all of these people are around and she'll be safe. So he's driving down. He sees a car broken down. There's 5 people around this car. He sees across the highway, he sees these 2 guys doing construction on a fence. So and then he saw a little farther down, there were these 2 women playing golf. There was like a golf course off the side of the highway.
Oh, question.
So he sees all of this thinking, hold on, let me just finish my sentence. He sees all these people and he's like, okay, if I leave right now, there's so many people around. No one's going to actually hurt her in the middle of all of this. So he felt like, okay, I think I could go.
He was justifying it in his head. We all do that.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Like you know, no, they're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm. Well, he left.
What I was thinking is, did he notice there was anyone else in the car with him?
Very good question. So one thing he did notice, he didn't see a passenger.
But someone could have been in the camper. People are in the camper.
Yeah. So
because I remember you said there was 3 dudes down the alley or what, you know,
in
down
the campground, standing outside the camper. So the only thing he only saw the driver. The only other things he saw was when he was behind the camper, he saw a black shadow get out because the truck was driving so slow. Someone got out of the passenger side
and then jumped back in the passenger side. But he just saw like a shadow. It wasn't
I knew what
fast
was going on.
enough.
I already knew there was someone there. That's why I asked.
Well, hold on.
I just wanted you to confirm.
So he did, but he didn't see the person. He just saw like a being.
Another piece of shit.
Another thing get out of the car. Yeah. He didn't see a description, or I didn't have any. All he could describe was the driver. So now Ishmael, he went to his appointment, and then he didn't honestly think much of this after this. And it wasn't until the case became a big deal and in the media that he came forward to the police. And he came forward many times to police. He actually kind of harassed the police because
that's good.
He had so much guilt that he didn't do anything to stop this because he knew he had a gut feeling.
He had a shot to save her.
He had a gut feeling about this situation.
You know what's funny, though? So say, for instance, he would have saved her, and he would have like, oh, hey, this guy following you. Or just like pulled over and spoke to the girl, and this guy would have drove past in the camper.
Yeah.
He never would have knew if he actually saved her.
He wouldn't have known.
And like maybe the girl would have been like, get away from me, creep. But that whole situation might have saved her.
Yeah.
And he never would have known how good of a deed he did.
I know. It's crazy, right?
The world is nuts.
So he ended up spending the next 20 years regretting this decision.
Ishmael, right?
Ishmael.
I paid attention.
And like I said, he went to the sheriff's department multiple times they did take a statement from him, but he went there multiple times because he had, a really good description of the truck, and he even had part of the license plate number. And he said to them, I have this. Can't you just search this truck with part of this license plate? You can find the person it's registered to. And nothing ever came, they just didn't follow up.
Idiots.
So
there's always an idiot every episode. I always just randomly blurt it out. I can't even help it.
Well, yeah, they were definitely idiots. So Ishmael called the sheriff's office about a few months later because he saw the truck again in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the same driver. So he called the sheriff's office. They kind of blew him off. So then he showed up to the sheriff's office in person, and he said, no, I want you to take my statement. I want you to listen to what I have to say.
Who's the sheriff?
The guy I told you, Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yeah. So
fuck you, Lawrence.
He told him, I saw the truck again in Albuquerque. I saw the same driver in Albuquerque. And they just blew him off, and they said he was
Lawrence
overreacting.
That's his cousin. Lawrence is his cousin. It gotta be.
Lawrence is his cousin.
The sheriff's cousin.
Oh.
You gotta know him.
So 1 year later, Ray Flores, who was then the sheriff at this time, because this is a couple years later after Tara disappeared. His name was Ray Flores, and he called Ishmael.
I have faith in you, Ray.
And asked him to come to the office to give a composite sketch of the truck and the driver. When he came, he told the sheriff that he had just recently had a conversation with a friend of his named Jack Aguayo. So Jack Aguayo was a cattle ranch owner, and he believed that his grandson JJ had something to do with Tara's crime, and that in fact he wouldn't even be surprised if Tara's remains were on his cattle ranch.
Wow.
Okay, so he came in, he gave the composite sketch, they did all that, and Ishmael told him, my friend said this about his grandson. So they ended up getting a police search warrant enacted for this cattle ranch, and they searched the entire property. But when Melinda goes through the case file 30 years later, there is no document about the findings or lack of findings on this cattle ranch. So
how well can you go through a cattle ranch? So in my mind, a cattle ranch is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Now you're not turning over every single piece of dirt to see if there's bones. You may look around, but you're gonna miss it.
They probably, but there should be supporting documents either way. If there's a search warrant created,
you gotta dig up every single piece and flip the dirt.
No,
look what's
Russ,
underneath. No,
but there's probably a search warrant. I mean, there is a search warrant, so there's supposed to be supporting documentation saying, oh no, we didn't find anything. This is what we searched and we didn't find.
So they threw the shit away.
There was nothing. There was no confirmation, even though the search actually happened.
Okay.
Okay?
I understand.
All right, so I'm going to tell you about another witness His name was Baron Freeman. And he emailed the sheriff's office years later claiming that he saw Tara the day that she went missing. But when Melinda was going through the case files, Baron Freeman's claims were completely ignored and no one took him seriously. So Melinda, like for the podcast, when you listen to the podcast, she calls Baron Freeman because she wants to hear what he has to say about that day. She ended up speaking to Baron's wife, who claimed that Baron had tried giving police information on numerous occasions over the years. And then in 2008, the next sheriff, his name was Rene Rivera, he made a statement claiming that police are pretty sure they know what happened to Tara, but that without a body and without any physical evidence, they can't make an arrest. In the statement, the sheriff said Tara was accidentally hit, and then in order to not get in trouble, whoever hit her buried her body to cover it up.
Ooh, that could be too.
Well, Baron Freeman emailed the police right away after reading the statement because he said he knew it was no accident.
Yeah, someone's following her.
He knew it was no accident, and he had a similar story to Ishmael, very similar. He was coming from the opposite direction on the highway, so he saw Tara's face, like facing him. So he got a really good look at her, and he got a really good look at the driver as well. He gave the exact same description of Tara, same description of the driver, same description of the truck, exactly like Ishmael's.
I gotta get my memory better. I wouldn't have remembered none of their faces.
Well, he even, got part of the license plate number as well, and gave the police all of this information. He kept thinking, he was actually on his way to the airport to catch a plane. So he kept thinking, something is weird about this. He noticed how the guy was looking at her. And he even pulled up, he's across the highway from Tara. He even pulls up slowly and tries to make eye contact with Tara because he was like, okay, maybe if I look at her and she looks at me, maybe she feels like she's in trouble. She'll give me a weird look and then I can gauge her.
She was just in the zone with her
music, but
probably.
She's just in the zone with her music. And he's like, she doesn't seem worried. Like, she doesn't seem in trouble. I guess I'm just going to go to the airport.
Another pro tip for staying alive is when you have AirPods or something, when you go running, only put one in. That's what I do. Because I always want to know what's on around, what's going on around me. But with AirPods, you can kind of put in two so you can hear what's going on around you. But if you have some beats or something, it's no good.
Yeah, it's true. So he ended up going to the airport. And even when he got farther down the highway, it started to rain. And he thought to himself, oh man, should I go back and help that girl? Now she's stuck in the rain. And he just couldn't get it off his mind that something was weird about that situation. But he just ignored it and got on his plane, flew off. And then it wasn't until, the case came out in the national media that he was like, oh my God, I could have saved her. And he lived with this guilt for years. He ended up calling her mom, Patty, in 2008 or 2009, called her mom Patty and had coffee with her to apologize.
Man. Oh, that's so awkward.
But Patty said to him, I don't think if you even slowed down and got next to her, she was a strong-headed woman and she didn't put up with a lot of bullcrap. I think that she wouldn't have stopped for you or even she would have ignored you or told you to get away from her. And Patty said, I really don't think she would have stopped. There's probably not much you could have done. And it made him feel a little better. And then he ended up dying in 2009.
I think that's true that what her mom said is true about her being strong and bullheaded and stuff like that because all the things that were left behind, the broken headphones and stuff like that, she fought back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But still, always fight back. Give yourself a chance.
So when Melinda asked the sheriff, why didn't you take this guy's statement seriously? He had a lot of details. Why is there no record of this guy's statement? The sheriff said, well, he said it was raining that day. And from what we heard and remember and what's documented, it was sunny that day. So we think that he got the information wrong, which made Melinda furious because it was raining that day. It actually was. Many people remember it being a rainy day and a gray day. So the only reason they didn't take a statement is because they claim, it was a sunny day, so he might not have his facts right.
They deserve a punch in the face.
I know. So, okay, last witness I'm going to tell you about is a woman, and she chooses to be anonymous because she is worried about.
Now, I'm with her.
She fears for her life,
I
and she's
understand
worried
that.
about this. So she chooses to stay anonymous, and she was also on the highway. She was a younger girl, like a teenage girl at the time, and she clearly remembers this because she cut the truck off.
Because it was going too slow,
So
so
she-
she went around.
Yep, and
'Cause
she
you
cut
know what?
them
That's
off.
what we all do. You're going slow. Jess gets very upset because she's in the car with me. Someone's going slow. And you know what I do? I cut your ass off hard as shit.
Well,
Speed up. And not if you're in the right lane. If you're in the right lane, I'm gonna let you live. But if you're in the left lane and you're going slow, Russ the speed racer. I don't drive that fast, but I drive faster than the speed lane. And I'm gonna cut your ass off hard.
she cut him off hard, and she got a really good look at him in the rearview mirror
And he looked like a piece of shit.
because after she cut him off, she looked at him in the rearview mirror, so she got a good description of his face. So she called the police after this whole thing about Tara came out because she saw the girl and everything in the truck, and she wanted to make a statement with police. So the police came over, and she told them, I can identify the guys. If you give me a lineup, I can pick out exactly who they are.
Wow.
So the police brought over a bunch of pictures, and she went through each picture, and she identified these two men.
It was them.
And she said that she had seen them around town before, but didn't know who they were. And it wasn't until several years later when she saw an obituary for a man named Lawrence Romero Jr. that
His son
she
did it.
realized that the person of interest in this case was Lawrence Romero Sr.'s son, the sheriff's son. And then it all came together.
Wow.
So Lawrence Romero Jr. died of a possible suicide.
Maybe his dad killed him because he ashamed him.
Well, I don't think so. He died years later. I mean, years and years later. So Lawrence Romero Sr. was the acting sheriff. He was the one on the case. He was the one that did all of these efforts to find Tara. He was out in the media.
But he wouldn't do. See, he was smart. What he did, I got this now. I got it. What he did is he did everything to make it look like he was doing it, but he knew to not look in certain paths because it would lead to piece of shit junior.
Yes, exactly. So now this witness also told Melinda on her podcast that she previously worked with the next sheriff in line, Renee Rivera. She previously worked with him. And when she worked with him, he flat out said to her, we know who committed this crime, and I even know where the truck is.
Mm-hmm.
But since this
You got a lot of pages left. I think we're done.
No, this is my last page. Since this person is so connected in this community, there's nothing I can do about this situation. This is what the new sheriff told this woman.
Shoot him.
So, okay, now I'm going to tie up the loose ends really quick. Remember
Take your time. Not really quick. We're having a good time here. Everyone, right? We're having a good time? Say, yup, we're having a good time.
I know, but I want to
Say
tie
it with me.
I want to tie
Someone
up.
just said it.
I want to tie up the loose ends for you so the whole story can really fully come together. So remember in the beginning of the story, when I told you that Tara's boyfriend and her mom and dad went looking for her and they saw the three men in the parking lot in front of the camper. Well, besides the sheriff's son, there were two men with him that day. JJ Aguayo and a guy named Paul Reiser. JJ was the grandson of the man that told Ishmael, I think my grandson is involved in this. Now, both men were brought in for questioning. They both gave very inconsistent stories and obviously denied any involvement, and they were never charged. Years later, a man named Henry Brown, who was a friend of all three of them, he gave a deathbed confession, claiming that one night they were all drinking together and doing some drugs, and the men started bragging about what they did to Tara. He said that the men claimed they purposely hit her while she was riding her bike. They purposely hit her.
That's what I said. I knew it.
Put her in the back of the truck and took her to one of the guys' basements. They kept her there and raped her multiple times, and she fought back the entire time. And when she said to them, I'm going to get you caught. You're going to get caught for what you're doing to me. They're going to get you. The men beat her and stabbed her multiple times until she died. They then left the body in the basement for a couple days until they could move it in the middle of the night. And they moved it and buried it in the bottom of a pond. But Henry Brown didn't know where this was. So after they told him this story, he was like, wait, like, then he kind of got pissed off because he's like, you did this? Like,
I'm very aggravated.
And the guy said, yeah, but now you know the story. And if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you.
Henry should have shot them. Bitch.
And then he even, Lawrence Jr., the sheriff's son, even had someone come to Harry's...
They did!
Come to Henry's Brown... The
Henry Brown.
The sheriff's son had a man with a gun come to Henry Brown's house a week later to, like, show him, I will kill you if you tell anyone this story.
What state was this in again?
New Mexico.
See, in New Mexico, everyone can have a gun. Shoot them first.
Yeah, well.
In New York, you're not allowed to have a gun.
Henry Brown apparently kept this secret his entire life until he was on his deathbed.
Oh, man.
And then he told his loved ones on his deathbed this story. So after all this...
This isn't a missing case. We know what happened.
After...
Jess's arms are in the air waving.
After...
Left and right over her head.
Because after all of this information, all of these statements, everything, the case is going nowhere. 2 of the 3 men are dead. But there is one man who is still alive, and no one knows where he is.
What's his name?
JJ Aguayo.
Fuck you, JJ.
He's somewhere around, and people don't know where he is.
Old ass bitch.
So this case remains cold, and Tara Calico is still missing. Her remains are not found.
Wow, and he's still alive?
And she is still considered a missing person.
First of all, where is Tara's family? You go find JJ. You give them this work.
I told you. They've been working on this for 10 years. Melinda and Tara's sister uncovered all of this information.
Finding this internet.
They made a documentary about it that hasn't come out yet. They're going to be at CrimeCon, probably, so we can go talk to her.
Hit me up. We'll go get JJ.
And
we're going to roll up on him.
Yeah, this is where the case is at this point.
Well, I ain't really going to do that. I'm going to mind my business. But that's your family, and you shoot the shit out of him.
Of course, they want to. They want
should.
Justice for her, but... That is where the case remains today.
Oh my God. If that was my family...
You can't say if that was their family. It's not like they're not putting the effort in, Russ. They're trying as hard as they can.
But what are you going to do when you find them? That's what I want to know.
Well, they're trying to get the FBI to find him.
I'll shoot the shit out of him.
No, they're trying to get the FBI to find him.
And I'll go live.
He might be dead. Like, listen, he might be dead. At one point, he ended up in a mental hospital. And then after he got out of this mental hospital... people lost track of him. So he might not be alive, but he's not alive.
By the way, I'm not like the toughest person. Don't think that. But if you did something to my family, that makes someone like very vengeful.
Yeah.
And I would shoot the shit out of you. So don't ever do something to someone I know.
So that's the case of Tara Calico, which is, I got super into it. I've been reading and researching this case for the last almost 4 days because I just found it fascinating and insane.
How long is this episode so far? We've been here for like 6 hours.
An hour and 10 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not that long.
No, it's not that long. So anyway, if you have any information...
That was a good one, though.
Yeah, if you have any information at all pertaining to this case, I will link the website. I'll link because there's a website for her.
Listen to that podcast. What's the one?
Vanished.
Melinda, right?
Yeah, her name is Melinda Eskimo.
Shout out Melinda. Keep going.
So the podcast is called Vanish. I'll link it all in wifeofcrime.com so that you guys can find it.
Yeah, we don't know her nothing, but just rock out with her.
And,
check her thing out.
Yeah, if you have any information at all pertaining to this case, you can feel free to contact them. And you can contact the Valencia Sheriff's Department because they are apparently on it now that it's a new sheriff in town.
Yo, Lawrence.
It's crazy. Well, he's dead now. He died.
Probably of old age-ish.
I don't know.
Well, I wish he would have suffered.
Well, no. He covered up his son's dirty deeds. Well, I hope you guys liked this story this week. I was really excited to tell it because it's just such a crazy case, and I hope one day that it finally gets closed.
This is one of my favorites. This one had me a little bit on edge.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Some of the other ones, I profiled straight from the start. And I had it. This one.
I told you this one was twisty and turny, but it was a good one.
All right,
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for tuning in again. I will see you guys next week, and I'll be on Instagram posting some stuff. I'll put the pictures on wifeofcrime.com. Definitely check it out. And yeah, have a wonderful week.
Yeah, so guys, check us out on Wife of Crime Pod on Instagram. That's where we're at pretty much full time. And then what's the one on Facebook?
Oh, it's called at Wife of Crime.
At Wife of Crime Family or something?
Well, it's called Wife of Crime, the Crime Family. And then to find us,
because she's the wife, I'm the husband. You guys are cousins. That's what we're gonna do. Yo, catch us out there, cuz. Catch you next week.
All right, everybody. See you next week. Happy New Year. Bye.